If you're looking for an app as a black person and you want to connect with other black people, well, the Black Social app is here. It's an absolutely a great app on Android and Apple. And make sure y'all go and check it out, man. What's going on, people? It's Jay the Black here. I'm back with another video. I want to talk about comments that Ciara recently made about her relationship with Russell Wilson. They have, a very interesting road. The fact that she went from Future to being with Russell. And she explained in Essence magazine and also Cosmo South Africa why she chose Russell and how she didn't give up the goods until they were married. Now, I want to say this. Marriage isn't for everybody. I'm not going to get angry at a guy for getting married as long as he's marrying somebody that he wants to be with and he doesn't have to financially carry. I don't think a man nowadays in 2019, I just don't think it's viable for a man to financially carry a situation. Not saying that he shouldn't be, paying all the bills. I'm not saying all that. What I'm saying is don't marry somebody who can divorce you and take everything from you and then say, well, he told me not to work, but marriage isn't for everybody. And I have spoken about my stance on marriage and how I felt like it wasn't for me, Not say I wouldn't be in relationships, because of course I'd be in another relationship. I think a lot of guys who want to be in relationships, whether they want to admit it or not. But marriage just isn't for everybody. And Ciara is basically talking about how, she wanted to get married. She tried with Future, it didn't work. So she took a different route. And the route was to not have sex with a guy until he put a ring on her finger. And I noticed that there are other women who are following that same strategy. And what I want to know from women who do that, usually women who do that are women who have been through multiple failed relationships with guys they wanted to marry. And the reason why those relationships fell apart, one, you were marrying somebody that were way too much of an opposite of you. Somebody that, wasn't going to be faithful to you. So you have women that will sleep with a guy, okay, thinking that all they have to do is sleep with a guy and that he will then see the light and want to marry her. That wasn't the case with Ciara, even though she was engaged to Future. I think she realized that he was going to continue to do his womanizing thing and he was not going to produce a marriage with her, even though I believe they were engaged. But he was going to do him. And I think she figured that out. And I think she made up in her mind the next guy she got with had to have certain criteria. All right. Now, this is what she said to Essence magazine. I remember telling my friend the kind of guy I wanted: a God-fearing man with a very fun spirit who loves kids and would really, truly care for me. The 30-year-old singer told Essence magazine. I was very specific because I do believe you can have it all. I think the line about loving kids is interesting because coming into the situation, she had a kid from Future, and Russell would have to be a stepfather. So any man she got with, let's say he didn't have any kids, she would want him to love kids because she would want him to love her kids. Now, she's since had a child with Russell, which completes the circle for her, But it's just very interesting because in a lot of these situations, when women get into these relationships with men who either don't have kids or, they weren't looking for kids, maybe they, might be kind of young or whatever, maybe they are career oriented. Women seek those guys out more than guys with kids when it comes to marriage. When it comes to relationships, what I've noticed is that the women usually will seek out a guy who has an abundance of children, abundance of women, because when a woman's mind is on dating casually and she's not thinking about marriage or thinking about getting married, she's going to date all types of dudes. But when she's thinking about marriage, like Ciara was thinking about marriage, she's going to choose a Russell. And that's what she did. She wanted a Russell. She did not want to marry a Future. She wanted a Russell. That is why when you look at this situation, right, you have to look at the different parts. Russell was in a relationship before. I believe he was married to a woman before. I believe she was Caucasian. Allegedly, she cheated on him with his teammate, right? He breaks up with her. So he's in a space where he's looking for something different, but he wants what he had growing up, with 2 parents. You know, what people got to understand is the reason why you see these guys get in all these different marriages is because they grew up in a 2-parent household, and that's what they want. And they're willing through trial and error to go through that. And that's what Russell, went through, and that's what he was willing to go through. Not every man is willing to do that. 1 divorce is enough, but I guess the first divorce wasn't that bad. I don't think he's paying alimony. I just feel like that whole situation was difficult for him to deal with. The fact that there's rumors swirling that your wife or the woman that you're with is getting with your teammate. So I think his mindset was towards, I want something completely different from what I had. His girlfriend was Caucasian. They were married for 2 years. After him getting into the league and getting some success, they split apart. But Russell has always been quiet. He's always been professional. He's never dragged her name through the mud, even though she has come out in the media and has said things about Russell and, Ciara's relationship, which really didn't have anything to do with her, because she was the one messing around allegedly with his teammate that they ended up trading. I wonder why. Now, I don't know if people really look at it from that standpoint. I'm looking at the whole encompassing part of it. I've made videos on this relationship and said certain things, and I just feel like the perspective on it was always in Ciara, but we never really took the time to really analyze Russell and why he's in this relationship, because he didn't have to get with Ciara. He didn't have to wait until marriage to sleep with her. He could have moved on to somebody else. But I think he wanted someone who he felt like needed him. He felt like Ciara needed him. She was already a single mother. She was coming out of a relationship with the type of guy she no longer wants. In a sense, he felt like she needed him. And that's why he was willing to marry her and have another child have a child with her, which, her second and his first, because he wanted to be with somebody who needed him. I think that he felt like the woman that he was with was very ungrateful, wasn't loyal, wasn't faithful. And he felt like he, gave her too much too soon, as far as the success that he had early in his career, getting drafted, them being married. This is why I say a lot of these athletes should not get married early in their careers. It really doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to get married early in your careers. You have so much time to get married. You need to focus on making money. You need to focus on having the best career you possibly can. And I think that with the situation Russell had, I think he felt like he wanted to redo it. And that's why I think he chose Ciara. He didn't want to choose a woman who didn't have any kids, kind of young, still had that party in her, still starstruck, because I believe, his ex was starstruck. And because his ex was starstruck and was messing around with Golden Tate. Well, shout out to Golden Tate. He just got a new contract from the Giants. But your teammate, a guy that you have to throw the ball to. And I think Russell, in that particular moment, the truth was he did not want to be with a woman like that. He wanted to be with a project, basically. Somebody that he can fix up, that can also fix him up too, because he's changed a little bit. His style has changed. Just his overall presence has changed because of her, because of what she's been able to bring to that situation. There are women out there that can benefit men. I don't believe that all or most women are detrimental. I think that's a stupid way of going about things, because whether we want to accept it or not, this relationship has worked. And I feel like on Russell's end, I think it has worked because he wanted a redo of his first situation with his first failed marriage. Now, again, we have not heard any details from that marriage because maybe she didn't want to be with him. Maybe she was ready to leave. She was willing to not take spousal support. Maybe he just paid her one sum of money and they were able to go their separate ways, because that's what it seems like to me. Because we haven't heard anything about spousal support, alimony. Now, maybe, because I would say this though, Russell Wilson is very professional. He's a very mature guy and he's very professional. Okay. This is why you don't hear anything regarding the details of their divorce. Now, again, the ex-wife has said some things about him and Ciara. She's made some salty comments, but that was a couple years ago. I think she was salty because he got in this relationship with Ciara. He basically, socially upgraded. I wouldn't say he upgraded as far as the quality of person that he was with, because of the numerous amount of relationships that Ciara's been in, the fact that she was with Future of all people. But socially, he did upgrade. And I think that rubbed the ex-wife the wrong way. But I just feel like the truth about this thing is that I feel like Russell waited because he wanted a second chance at being able to have a long-lasting marriage. And so far, it has worked. Now, I think that this house of cards can fall apart if Ciara keeps focusing on Future, because even though I think Russell has moved on and wants to be with her, I don't think Ciara has moved on. I think a part of her still wants to make it work with Future, but we will see. All right. If you're looking for an app as a black person and you want to connect with other black people, well, the Black Social app is here. It's an absolutely a great app on Android and Apple, and make sure y'all go and check it out, man.